got guys like Islam that could do everything. Islam is scary standing up. When you KO Volkanovski like that, and then you choke out Dustin Poirier like that guy, he can head kick you, he could strike with you and knock you. Knocked out Gleison Tibau with one shot standing, and he can still strangle you, and he can still smother you. Like, it's the perfect combination. It's like you're outmanning every guy you fight. Just out-grappling him, out-striking him.
Was Islam Makhachev the perfect champion you wanted to face?
Listen, I have nothing but love and respect for Islam Makhachev, and the body of work that he's done in the UFC is unbelievable. When I fight Islam Makhachev on August 15th, I'm going to beat the #1 pound fighter on the planet. I'm going to beat the 2-weight world champion. I'm going to dismantle him. And when I do that, there is no doubts. It's undeniable. I will be the greatest fighter on the planet.
Do you believe he'll risk standing on the feet and striking with you?
I think he has no choice. That's my decision. But my movement will force him to make decisions. He's going to inevitably grab my leg. There's no doubt about that. That's going to happen. And I can't wait for it to happen because I'm going to beat him where he's best too.
Yep.
And
then after that, you have Islam Makhachev taking on Ian Garry for the welterweight, which is a sick fight because I remember back in the good old days, I would see your ass fight 3 times in a year. Just boom, boom, boom. Like, you defending the belt multiple times in a fucking year. So you got to see your favorite athlete and your favorite champion fight so often. But now you're lucky to see Islam fight once a year, or
it's hard,
shit,
man.
even it's just hard. But the fact that we get to see him, fight Ian Garry, that's going to be a sick fucking fight. Sick fight.
I think from what I've seen with Ian Garry, he's a guy that can get it done. Again, Islam is one of the greatest to ever do it in this game. He's dominant in his field, and now he's at well.
He does well with Islam on the stand-up because he's rangy, he's tricky, but he doesn't survive on the ground, I don't think. He might survive 5 rounds, but he won't get the best of Islam on the ground. I'm 100% sure about that. On the stand-up, he's pretty tricky, so one punch can change everything on that. One kick, one punch, one knee, so that's a different story. But on the ground, the takedown defense that he has is decent, but not great enough to stop Islam from taking him down.
Who do you think keeps their fight going? Like, is it going to be Ian Garry's fight the whole fight, or is it going to be Islam keep it? Because for me, I feel like it's going to be Ian Garry doing Ian Garry and kind of it's going to make it his kind of fight.
I think it's going to be Ian Garry doing Ian Garry until maybe the end of some of the early rounds, and then maybe Makhachev ends round 1 on his back but doesn't get the choke, and maybe he gets a takedown and he's on top but not doing crazy damage. But then I think as it goes on, Ian's damage will maybe pile up on Makhachev, and we could be looking at a late finish or a decision. Dude, it could be crazy.
Yeah,
Imagine Ian Garry.
Islam, he's fighting next month against Ian Machado Garry. Who do you got in that fight?
I got Islam.
How?
Submission. Islam right now he's the best, so it'll be hard to beat him. I gotta rewatch Ian Garry's fight because I don't know him very well. People saying he has a good takedown defense. So I know everything in my division, but I don't know a lot of people in 170, so I cannot say.
Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry. What's your thoughts on that fight?
I don't even think it's remotely close. Very easy matchup for Islam.
Really?
Dude, he's going to take Ian Garry down and that's it. That's the end of it. Like, it's not even remotely close.
Really interesting.
Like, genuinely, I don't think it's even a little bit close. Look what he did to JDM.
Yeah, but
JDM has better takedown defense than Ian does.
But JDM does not run on his bike like Ian Garry does. Ian Garry will be very difficult to track down.
His legs are also twice as long, so there's a lot of leg to grab.
It'll be very difficult, I think, in the beginning to try. I'm not sure. This is my concern.
Every big fight has a moment when opinions begin to split, and this matchup has reached that point. As UFC 330 gets closer, analysts throughout the combat sports world are making their final predictions for Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry. What's making this discussion so fascinating isn't just the talent involved, it's the clash of completely different styles, mindsets, and paths to victory. Some experts believe Islam's championship experience will simply be too much. match. Others believe Ian Garry has the movement, confidence, and tactical discipline to create problems that few opponents have been able to solve. That's exactly why this fight has become one of the most debated matchups on the card. The general sentiment among professionals who have studied this closely is that this is far more complicated than a simple striker versus grappler matchup. Modern MMA rarely works that way anymore. Both men have continued to evolve, and both understand that making one mistake at this level can completely change the outcome of a championship fight. That's why so many respected voices are focusing less on flashy highlights and more on the small tactical battles that could decide everything. When discussing Islam Makhachev, most experts begin with the same point. His greatest weapon isn't just his wrestling, it's the pressure he creates from the opening minute until the final horn. Opponents often find themselves fighting at a pace they never wanted. Every exchange becomes mentally exhausting because they know that any strike they throw could immediately be answered with a level change, a clinch, or relentless cage pressure. Several respected analysts have pointed out that Islam doesn't simply look for takedowns, he forces reactions. He makes opponents think about the wrestling so often that their striking starts to slow down. Once hesitation appears, his control of distance becomes even more effective. That psychological pressure has been one of the biggest reasons behind his success against elite competition. But this matchup introduces a very different challenge. Ian Garry isn't known for standing still. His entire striking game revolves around movement, timing, and making opponents chase him. He constantly changes angles, varies his rhythm, and avoids giving his opponent a stationary target. Fighters who rely heavily on pressure sometimes struggle when their opponent refuses to stay in one place, and that's exactly where Garry believes he can create opportunities. Analysts within the combat sports community have noted that Garry's footwork could become one of the most important factors in the entire fight. If he can consistently reset in open space, avoid getting trapped against the fence, and force Islam to restart his attacks repeatedly, he could make the champion work much harder than expected. Every failed takedown attempt costs energy, and every extra step matters over 5 rounds. Of course, avoiding the fence sounds much easier than actually doing it. Islam has built a reputation for gradually shrinking the cage without appearing reckless. He rarely rushes forward wildly. Instead, he patiently cuts angles, limits escape routes, and waits for opponents to make the mistake of backing themselves into dangerous positions. Once that happens, his grappling becomes incredibly difficult to stop. That brings us to one of the biggest questions surrounding this fight. Can Ian Garry survive extended grappling exchanges if Islam succeeds in getting him down? Plenty of talented strikers have entered fights believing they could return to their feet quickly, only to discover how exhausting Islam's top control truly is. His ability to maintain pressure while constantly improving position has frustrated even experienced opponents. Several respected voices have emphasized that defending one takedown won't be enough. Garry may have to defend 10, 15, or even 20 serious attempts throughout the fight. The cumulative effect of constantly fighting grips, underhooks, body locks, and clinch positions can wear down even athletes with outstanding conditioning. That's part of what makes Islam's approach so effective. He doesn't necessarily need every takedown to succeed immediately. The repeated attempts slowly drain both the body and the mind. Still, dismissing Ian Garry would be a mistake. Throughout his career, he's shown an impressive ability to adjust during fights. He reads opponents well, recognizes patterns, and often becomes more effective as the rounds progress. His confidence has also become one of his defining characteristics. Whether people agree with his personality or not, few question his belief in his own abilities. That mindset matters when facing someone with Islam's reputation. Those who follow the sport carefully are not dismissing Garry's striking advantage at range. His long attacks, quick counters, and ability to score without absorbing much damage could become extremely important if he keeps the fight standing. Islam has continued improving as a striker, but Garry's speed and movement present a unique puzzle that requires constant adjustments. Another topic experts continue discussing is the pace of the opening round. Will Islam immediately pursue aggressive wrestling, or will he spend time studying Garry's movement before committing fully? Likewise, will Garry try to establish his jab early, or will he spend the first several minutes focusing almost entirely on staying away from the fence? The first 5 minutes could reveal each team's game plan. Cardio is another area receiving significant attention. Islam has repeatedly demonstrated the ability to maintain relentless pressure deep into fights. His conditioning allows him to continue threatening wrestling long after many fighters would begin slowing down. Garry, meanwhile, has also shown solid endurance, especially when he's able to dictate the range and tempo. The question isn't simply who has better cardio, it's whose style forces the other man to spend more energy. The championship rounds could become especially interesting. If Garry is still moving well entering the 4th and 5th rounds, the striking exchanges may begin favoring him more consistently. However, if Islam has already accumulated significant control time, those later rounds may become increasingly difficult for Garry to reverse. Momentum often shifts dramatically dramatically in high-level title fights, and both corners understand how important those championship rounds could be. Experience is another factor that experts continue weighing carefully. Islam has competed under enormous pressure before. Championship fights, hostile crowds, and massive expectations have become familiar territory for him. That experience can be invaluable during tense moments when adjustments must happen instantly. On the other side, Garry enters this fight carrying something equally powerful: momentum and opportunity. Fighters chasing the biggest win of their careers often perform without the burden of defending a title. That freedom can sometimes produce fearless performances capable of surprising even the most accomplished champions. Several analysts have also mentioned the mental battle taking place outside the cage. Preparation isn't only physical. Every interview, every prediction, and every headline contributes to the psychological atmosphere surrounding a fight. Both athletes appear confident, but confidence alone doesn't win championships. Execution does. Once the cage door closes, every prediction becomes irrelevant until the fighters prove it under pressure. Perhaps the most intriguing aspect of this matchup is that neither man can afford to fight emotionally. Islam must remain disciplined rather than chasing unnecessary exchanges on the feet simply to prove a point. Garry, meanwhile, cannot allow confidence to tempt him into standing too long against the fence or taking unnecessary risks trying to land one spectacular shot. Small decisions repeated over 25 minutes often determine championship fights far more than one dramatic moment. Analysts within the combat sports community have repeatedly stressed that adaptability may become the deciding factor. If Islam's wrestling isn't producing the expected results early, can he comfortably rely on extended striking exchanges? If Garry finds himself taken down repeatedly, can he quickly change his defensive approach before valuable rounds slip away? Elite fighters separate themselves by solving problems in real time. There is also the question of damage versus control. Modern MMA judging frequently rewards effective offense, but every round develops differently. One clean combination from Garry could outweigh long periods of ineffective pressure. Likewise, sustained positional dominance from Islam could neutralize striking success if he consistently controls where the fight takes place. That balance makes predicting the scorecards especially challenging. Now we arrive at the prediction itself. After examining the styles, the momentum, the tactical possibilities, and the questions both fighters must answer, it's easy to understand why expert opinions remain divided. Ian Garry certainly has the movement, striking accuracy, and composure to create difficult moments for Islam. If he consistently avoids extended grappling exchanges and controls distance over 5 rounds, an upset becomes entirely possible. However, the safest prediction still leans toward Islam Makhachev finding a way to impose his game over time. Not because the striking gap is overwhelming, and not because Garry lacks the skills to compete, but because Islam has repeatedly demonstrated an extraordinary ability to force elite opponents into uncomfortable positions. His pressure, patience, wrestling chain attacks, and championship composure give him multiple paths to victory, even if his initial game plan encounters resistance. That doesn't mean an easy night. In fact, this could become one of Islam's toughest tactical tests. Garry's movement and discipline should create moments where the champion has to adjust, reset, and work much harder than many expect. But over the course of 5 rounds, experience, control, and relentless pressure may gradually tip the fight in Islam's favor, potentially by a late submission or a hard-earned unanimous decision after a highly competitive contest. No matter which prediction proves correct, one thing is certain: this isn't simply another championship fight. It's a contest that could reshape the narrative around both careers. A victory for Islam would strengthen his legacy as one of the most complete fighters in the sport today. A victory for Ian Garry would instantly become the defining moment of his career and completely change the future of the division. So now, the question goes to you. Do you believe Islam Makhachev's championship pressure and grappling will once again prove too much? Or will Ian Garry's movement, striking, and tactical approach produce one of the biggest upsets we've seen in recent UFC history? Share your full prediction in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more combat sports news, fight breakdowns, reactions, and in-depth analysis leading into UFC 330.